Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Fair warning, we're recording this, so you will need to unmute or turn on your video to accept those terms if you want to talk. Um, Otherwise, it looks like we got light attendance right now. We can wait a few minutes before we get started here. Give people 5 minutes or so. Evening, Jill. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. So we just had one other person join. Is my screen coming through for everybody?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I can see it.
Perfect. Good evening, Nick and Shane. How you guys doing?
I'm all right.
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
No complaints. Give people one more minute here just in case we have some stragglers, then we'll get going.
All right. Is everyone able to hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yes. Right. So if everyone who's in attendance is able to write their name and contact information um, in the chat, then we are can send out some meeting notes afterwards. We will get rolling. We'll also put a quick message in the chat as Shane. Following the community meeting, there will be a 14-day open comment period. So I just popped that email address in the chat in case you guys or anyone else who's going to be listening to the recording following has any comments or questions and wants to shoot those over to the Anne. So I just put that in the chat as well. Get rolling. So welcome. My name is Lauren Smuzz. I am with Dynamic Engineering as well as Connor McManus, also with Dynamic Engineering. We are the civil engineers for the proposed project. There's also Jill Coop online, and she is here on behalf of Olympus Pines LLC, who is the developer. Hi, Jill.
Thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you. So we are here today. So in accordance with section 17-2-107 of the Anne Arundel County Code, this meeting is being held virtually via Microsoft Teams with the purpose of presenting information regarding the proposed preliminary plan application for a proposed Tommy's Car Wash off of Mountain Road in Pasadena, Maryland. So this community meeting is to provide information for the proposed design, concept, stormwater management, and allow the community to ask questions and provide comments. As per the same section of the code, we had communication mailings mailed out to sent via first class on Thursday, September 4th, 2025 to all property owners and HOA residents within 300 feet of the subject property, to the Office of Planning and Zoning, to the County Executive, District 3 County Council Member, to the County Community Engagement and Constituent Services, and to SHA District 5 Office. So for the proposed project that you are seeing shared by Connor on the screen, is the proposed Tommy's Car Wash off of Mountain Road in Pasadena. The address is 4306 Mountain Road, Pasadena, Maryland, 21122. So Connor's sharing the Google Maps of the aerial of the site right now, just for a little bit of a zoomed out perspective. This is obviously located within Anne Arundel County, tax map 17, grade 20. So for the type of project, this is a privately proposed project and is not a capital improvement project. This existing property was purchased earlier this year by Chesapeake Pines MD5 LLC. So it's the private developer for this project, and thus both the existing and proposed owner of the land. The property is zone C2, commercial office zone, according to section 18.5.102 of the Anne Arundel County zoning ordinance. A car wash is the conditional use in the C2 zone. The conditions for the car wash demonstrate that there must be at least a 50-foot area that includes landscape screening in accordance with the county landscape manual between the car wash and a lot line of any adjacent residential zone property. So that's on the north side of the site, just above the top yellow stormwater management facility. So 50-foot area for landscape screening is able to be accommodated for this conditional use. And then the second condition is a vehicular access. Will be from a minor arterial or higher classification road. So we do provide access off of Mountain Road, which is classified as a minor arterial road.
So I think that's where some of our issue is. That Temple Drive, it's only like a half side street. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this area, but there's a Starbucks right on the opposite side of it. And I mean, you pull out at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the day. I mean, you're literally blocked with traffic until Starbucks clears out for you to pull out. So I'm just not sure how these two side exits are even going to work on Temple Drive.
Yeah, and we do have a traffic engineer who has done some preliminary work for this project, so we can always circle back to the traffic pieces. For one of the conditions is that it must at least have access off of the arterial road, which hopefully, given that Mountain Road is a busier road, we're hoping that a lot of the traffic will be on and off of Mountain Road, using that side street Temple Road, but that access is provided as well. So per Anne Arundel County GIS, the site is located within the village center, which is a TDP development policy overlay area, as amended in September 2024. And for the same GIS, the site is also located within the neighborhood preservation, a GDP development area as amended in September 2020. For critical area designation, this project is not located within a critical area for the Anne Arundel County GIS, as well as Berlin, which is Maryland's Environmental Resource and Land Information Network. For environmental features, the FEMA Federal Emergency Management Agency National Flood Insurance Program, their flood insurance rate map number 24003C0157F. Dated in February of 2015. Based off of that map, the site is located outside of the floodplain, so it's in Zone X, an area that's determined to be outside the 0.2% annual chance floodplain. For Anne Arundel County GIS, the site is not located within a bog contributing drainage area. The Alta NSPS land title survey dated July 2025 is performed by Atwell. Demonstrated that there are no steep slopes identified on the subject property. And for a cursory site investigation carried out in August 2025 by a local environmental and cultural resources consulting firm, there are no wetlands or streams located on site. There is a wetland in the previously mentioned Starbucks site. There is a wetland off of the rear of that site. Delineated on Starbucks site grading permit plan number G02018592. However, the 25 wetland buffer does not encroach onto our subject for this development. And there are similarly no stream buffers located on the site. For location of forests and specimen trees, the same cursory site investigation identified wooded areas on site. However, they do not qualify as a forest. The site is located within priority funding area. And because there's no forest on site, there's no forest conservation areas on site as well. However, the proposed development does propose roughly 14,000 square foot plus or minus area of on-site mitigation for forest conservation at the rear of the site adjacent to the residential properties to the north. So that's the Connor, if you zoom out a little bit to the hatched area at the north of the site with the diagonal stripes, that is the proposed forest conservation area on site. That will be kind of double as that on-site screening. The environmental firm did additionally identify one specimen tree that's located on site. And that is right where the cursor is. That is identified as a 39-inch red maple. Two additional specimen trees were located on the adjacent site to the west, that is a 32-inch sycamore tree, and then to the north there is a 31-inch red maple. So as you can see, as illustrated on the site, the critical root zones of these two offsite trees do encroach onto the subject property, however, they will not be impacted. Or if they are impacted slightly, it will be less than the 30% maximum threshold for impact to a specimen tree. So as you can see with a car wash, there are no single residential projects on the subject site. And there are no multi-unit residential projects for the subject site either. This is classified as a non-residential project. So in present day, the site does it contain an existing residential home, driveway, shed, and landscaping. However, all existing features on site will be demolished, with the exception of the on-site specimen tree that will remain intact, as well as some existing woods to the north of the site within the forest conservation area. The site will be redeveloped for a proposed Tommy's Car Wash, as previously mentioned, as well as some shared drive-through components. The previously mentioned Alta survey identified the site as a single parcel number 439, which is 2.4 acres in size by deed and roughly 2.25 acres by the OWL survey. The existing parcel will not be subdivided or reconfigured as part of this project. As previously mentioned, no residential units are being proposed with this project. And the proposed Tommy's Car Wash will have a 4,748 square foot non-residential floor area. The proposed car wash will be single story with a maximum height of 28 feet to the parapet top. The subject parcel is located at the northwest quadrant of the intersection of Mountain Road, Maryland Route 177, and Temple Drive, which she also mentioned. Mountain Road is classified as a minor arterial road under MDSA jurisdiction with a posted speed limit of 40 miles per hour and a variable width right of way, which is demonstrated to be 60 feet along the site's frontage. Adjacent to the site, Mountain Road has one westbound travel lane, a center turning lane, and two eastbound travel lanes. Temple Drive is classified as a local road under Anne Arundel County's jurisdiction with a posted speed limit of 25 miles per hour and also a variable width right of way. However, it's approximately 43 feet along the site's entire frontage. There is one northbound and one southbound along the site's frontage for Temple Drive. The development proposes 19 surface parking spaces on site, which is inclusive of 14 vacuum spaces and one handicap accessible space. The site will have two-way full access movement throughout the site, with, as previously noted, the two-way drive aisle access points off of Temple Drive and then one off of Road as well. The required driveway aisle width for Anne Arundel County are 15 foot for one way and 24 foot for two way. As shown on the concept plan, we have a minimum of 24 foot width for the proposed two-way driveway. And site circulation is feasible for the county fire truck, box truck for deliveries, as well as a county trash truck for trash pickups at the located at the northwest corner of this. Pedestrian access is provided around the building. There is an easement entrance at the north end of the building at the car wash entrance into the building. There are additional building entry points on the east side of the building as well as the west side where the mat walkthrough will be located. as well as two on the south side, where the car wash exit is located. It's anticipated that off hours loading will be provided, and thus the dedicated loading space is not provided on site. Per the county code, there is not a minimum open space requirement for the site. However, a maximum lot coverage by structures and parking required is to be 80%. The proposed impervious coverage for the parcel is around 45% plus or minus, providing the sufficient green space for the development and well below the 80% maximum. Sorry, I just saw Nicholas. You had a hand up.
Yeah, I had a question. First, I can't quite hear like what you're saying. It's like going in and out, and it's like real high pitched, and then it goes real low. But can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry about that. Is anyone else having difficulty hearing me?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's because it's echoing.
Headphones out. I can try without the headphones. Sorry about that.
Did you have a question as well, Nick? Nick, did you also have a separate question, or was it just the sound?
Nicholas, are you there? Are you guys able to hear me a little bit better now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, my headphones kicked out. But
No worries.
so what actually what I was gonna say is so the traffic coming from Temple Drive coming out of the neighborhood. I don't know if you can move the map up towards my property on the corner, but so I'm the property on the back corner. But so when the traffic's, you said from what you said your traffic engineer was saying that the majority of your traffic is going to be coming from in the neighborhood on Temple Drive and then going into the car wash. But I just didn't see how that was like. I mean, I know your traffic engineer looked at it, but I didn't see how that was safe considering when people have to go around, people that are waiting in line on the side of Temple Drive, and then they have to swerve around them to go into incoming traffic to get around them and then, go back in their lane. When that road isn't that wide to begin with.
Yeah, so I guess is your overall concern just the ability to access the site when it's backed up?
No, the concern would be, general traffic that's not going to the car wash or just traffic, passing by. But then also when the line backs up, it'll be right along my property to where it'll, I say obstruct the access to like my garage that's in the backside of my property. And just, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think it's as far as people having to go around and the road not being as wide as it is now. Are they planning on making the road wider or?
Real quick, let's let Jill jump in with some of the operations information, and we can kind of address any of your additional concerns from there.
Hey, thank you so much for jumping on, and we're looking forward to possibly being neighbors. So a couple of things I just want to let you know. Our car wash, we do house a lot of stacking on our site. So if you can see, it's got 3 lanes of pay. And then we also can stack 5 cars inside the wash. We have the ability, so if the car wash was stacked, all the way to the end of the lane. So yeah, all the way to there, you would only wait in line for less than 2 minutes before you went through the line and through the wash. So we process cars extremely fast. We have actually 30 sites in our personal umbrella. And we don't ever back up into any roadways just because of the ability that we have to process cars so quickly. So I don't think that we will ever have an assist system. Excuse me. I have to sneeze. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. A situation. I'm sorry about that. Where we would actually back up onto Temple Road. We are very cautious of the fact that there's already a Starbucks there and the fact that they do sometimes show a lot of traffic backed up into your roadway. So we are very cautious of that. We also have staffing things that we will put in place. If we get to that point, we will be directing traffic not to enter on that location closest to the, if you want to bring your cursor down closest to the intersection, we'll direct traffic to just enter in off of Mountain Road.
So that's the thing. Who's gonna really direct the traffic though?
Our employees.
So you guys are gonna have employees standing out on Temple Drive directing traffic?
No, they will be in our site. We will keep them on our property. But if we don't normally, we've never had a situation where we've backed up that much. If on a strange circumstance that we did, we would have employees directing traffic to Mountain Road.
So then right here, so if we have a car that comes out of your guys' car wash, they want to make a left to go down Mountain Road, right? So they come out, they
Mhm.
want to go to the end of Mountain Road. What is the distance between the actual intersection right there and that first entrance right there on Temple Drive? What's that distance right there that his cursor is scrolling across?
Check.
Because I can tell you right now, even at 6 o'clock, we can go out there. I could go to the corner of my street and I can show you 3 cars at least backed up right there, either trying to make a right turn or left turn. The road's so narrow that you can only get all the way up to the tip of the intersection and decide whether you're making a right or left turn. Like that's why I don't think you guys understand how narrow this road is once you get down towards Starbucks. Like it's a little bit wide there right at the beginning of the intersection, but I mean this is only like it should really be a single lane road. Like it literally comes really really tight.
So you're concerned about when cars leave the wash? That's what you're saying? Like they're going to leave and go that way?
Yeah, so there's already going to be a line of traffic right there from people that are leaving Starbucks.
So what we would normally have happen then at that point, if it was also becoming very claustrophobic in the area, is we'd have customers come out of the tunnel. We would force them right, and they would have the option to go onto Mountain Road and exit there and hang a right, or you'd go through the vacuums. You can vacuum your car if you want to, or you can go up and choose to exit off the backside.
And what's that yellow little rectangle back there?
So that's a stormwater management facility, which I'll get more into the
Okay.
design of.
I was just making sure that wasn't like a vacuum station. I mean, we've already got
No,
a
no,
bunch
all of
right
the
there too.
yeah, all the vacuum will be kind of to the left of the building. All those are vacuum stalls.
And when will they be operating?
During operations, which are normally until 8 p.m.
Wow. So we
They
get to
also have
listen.
noise
We
dampers. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so we get to listen to that until 8 p.m. every night. That's awesome.
If
They
I
also have
can add
noise dampers
something,
on.
Shane. So you said 8 p.m. is when they're supposed to have the cutoff, but I believe it's around like I don't know. I think it's around 9 o'clock is when Starbucks gets their delivery. And I didn't know anything about when they were building that, but they get a delivery from a tractor and trailer that has a refrigeration unit. And then so when I used to work nights, I didn't get home until 10, 11 o'clock. But every time I got home, before I try to go to bed, I hear this refrigeration unit. So it's like now that I'm on a regular shift, it's like, okay, now vacuums are going to be going until 8 o'clock at night. Then, Starbucks is going to be getting a delivery, and it's just the sound, issue as well as the um, is like the
Traffic.
visual. What,
Yeah.
if you don't mind
And-
me asking, what is that? I see the alley, which is 20 feet wide. What was that other space behind the water reclamation?
Forest.
Okay, so it is. So
Yeah,
what?
and that's part of the landscape screening as well, and that is, I think that noise is built into that conditional use for this area and that's why they require at least 50 foot of landscape screening between the residential properties and this particular use is primarily, well, obviously visual purposes, but then as well for a noise cancellation effect for you guys. And we're actually providing beyond the 50 foot fee as part of that forest conservation.
And then I'm sorry, one more question. Because I'm sure I don't know if you said this previously. Just because it was a little fuzzy, I couldn't hear it. But for that alley, what is that going to be used for, and is it going to be blocked off to the public?
That is an existing alley that was per a deed. That's off of our subject property, so the future of that is not known to us at this time. That's not part of our development. So
Oh, so I noticed that I'm guessing it was a contractor or something doing some excavation work. I don't know if they were locating a sewer clean out or what the job was, but I noticed that one of the skid steer that they were using or piece of equipment drove back through the woods, clearing a path all the way just about 5 to 10 feet from the back of my fence of my property. And I noticed that they cleared out that area like a maybe 30 by 40 or 50 foot, oval round area.
yeah, that we have not begun construction, so because we are in the very early stages of this process. So any clearing that might have been done on that 20-foot alley, I believe that's a county owned
No, so they
alley.
came
So
through. They came through your guys' property, the one that you guys own now.
Yeah, I think it was like 30 feet from Mountain Road that they were actually working. And then at the end of the day, when I got home, I noticed that they made a path, like a trail all the way from the front of your guys' property to the back.
okay.
Yeah, all the way to
Interesting.
our property line.
It could be an optical illusion for how far back they got potentially because there
Oh no, we're
was
looking at it. We're looking
Yeah,
at
I
it. We
know.
can
I
go
can
outside and I can show
literally
you
take a
pictures of
flashlight and show
it.
you.
interesting. Okay. I know we did have preliminary geotechnical investigations done out there, but that should have been done, no further than kind of where this is limited to right now. So
Yeah,
we'll
it's all the
certainly
way.
look into that.
Yeah, because it's at a maximum of 20 feet away from my fence, and that's like I'm just giving that like extra bit. It's probably realistically 15 feet up to where they cleared, but
Yeah. Okay. We can look into that. I do have some additional talking points for the presentation. Do you guys mind if I proceed with some of those talking points and then we can circle back at the end to some additional questions and conversation?
Yeah, that's fine.
sure.
Okay. Thank you guys. But we're happy to hear you guys out more. So I guess I know you guys were having issues hearing me previously. You guys are, it's crystal clear now, correct?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I can
crystal
hear you
clear.
good now.
Okay, apologies about that. So, I believe the last piece, that I was talking about was the, county code for the open space requirements. There are no open space requirements for the site. However, a maximum lot, cover by structures and parking required is 80%. The proposed impervious coverage for this parcel is around 45% plus or minus. So we are providing sufficient green space for the property, and well below the maximum 80% threshold. For the landscape manual requirements, the site is to reserve 10% of the parking lot area, including parking spaces, drive aisles, and loading spaces for interior landscaping. And as presently designed, the development is able to accommodate that requirement. Because the existing impervious coverage is less than 40% in present day conditions, the site will be required to comply with Maryland Department of the Environment, MDE's new development standards for stormwater management. So that's kind of circling back to those yellow pieces that you see on the site. The site right now you see three where there will be approximately 3 to 4 stormwater management facilities to provide ESD to the MEP. So that's environmental site design to the maximum extent practicable. So based on MDE regulations, the intent is to essentially return the site to what they call woods in good condition. So it says the water leaving the site would be as clean as if it was running along a wooded site as opposed to the car wash. So these, due to some high groundwater in the area that was determined based off of the geotechnical investigation performed by Dynamic Earth in August 2025, the facilities will likely be submerged gravel wetlands. And just to kind of give some background knowledge on submerged gravel wetlands, they're a water quality treatment device used to capture and treat stormwater runoff from impervious areas. So that's the driveways, the parking, the roads, all of that. And it passes the water through a small scale filter layer of wetland plants and rock media. The proposed vegetation is comprised of native wetland plants in a rock, native wetland plants, and then they're further provided in the facility along with a wetland mulch or topsoil layer over the gravel to enhance the survival of these facilities. And so they will be well planted as designed and then by our landscape architect. And the plants in the facilities are critical to obviously the appearance, but also the treatment of the water. And so they're best suited in areas where there is high groundwater and poorly drained soils are present. So in the proposed limits of disturbance for the development is roughly around 86,000, just below two acres. So that includes on-site improvements, as you see on this plan, as well as the proposed driveway, access points off of Mountain Road and Temple Drive right-of-ways, and some curb improvements associated with that. As it pertains to the green on-site building features, there are water reclamation systems proposed, and those are sitting, the tanks kind of sitting in that queuing area that Jill was mentioning. So those are critical to the Tommy's Car Wash design because those actually facilitate recycling of the water used for the car wash. So it helps for a greener initiative for the proposed facility for the site. Because there are the non-residential nature for the project, there will be no impacts to the schools. There is an existing 8-inch water main and an 8-inch gravity sewer main, both located in Temple Drive, which will be utilized for the proposed public services for both water and sewer to the car wash. There's also a 20-inch water main located in Mountain Road. However, at this time, the development does not anticipate utilizing that service main. For environmental features, circling back, as previously mentioned, there is the 1 specimen tree on site and then the 2 off site, and the proposed impacts to the critical root zones for all 3 specimen trees will be less than the 30% maximum required in order to save the trees and avoid the need for their removal. And thus there are no modifications required for environmental features. As previously mentioned, we're not impacting beyond 30% of the specimen trees. There's no wetlands, there are no streams, there's no steep slopes. So there are no environmental features that will be impacted. And because there's no environmental features that will be impacted, there will be no mitigations anticipated for the project. In addition to those environmental features, No other anticipated modifications will be required for the site, including landscaping, which you see on the sheet. And we're complying with all the buffer, stacking, parking requirements, all the bulk regulations for the Anne Arundel County zoning ordinance for this site. Some additional items, like I mentioned, as you see here, are landscaping. Right now, as you see, we are complying with the requirements for landscape buffering for street trees and streetscapes, parking lot landscape requirements, non-residential structures, which includes foundation plantings along the building, service lanes, and as well as screening for dumpster and HVAC and mechanical equipment. Kind of circling back to traffic, like we previously mentioned, a scoping request was submitted to Anne Arundel County, and our dynamic traffic office is currently in the process of preparing a detailed traffic impact study that will be reviewed by both SHA for Mountain Road as well as Temple Drive for Anne Arundel County. Because this community meeting is done in accordance with the Anne Arundel County Code prior to our initial submission of the preliminary plan, that traffic impact study has not yet been submitted and approved, or submitted, reviewed, and approved by SHA and Anne Arundel County. So there will be further comments and mitigation that could present itself, or they could find that it's because it's a lower traffic use. Typically, we don't anticipate a ton of traffic, and as Jill noted, there will not be. We do not anticipate stacking onto either Mountain Road or Temple Drive. The TIS does include analysis of 6 offsite intersections located in both the directions of Mountain Road from the site, as well as intersections north on Temple Road. So for you guys who live north of the site, intersections north of this site will be analyzed as part of this traffic impact study. Weekday and morning, evening peak periods will be studied as part of this, with traffic counts taken at these various offsite intersections. A pre-application meeting is also being coordinated with SHA to review the proposed access points off of both previously mentioned roads. And access has already been restricted to right in, right out, thus so that all left turns occur on Temple Drive. And as noted in the chat, which I started out with, there will be a 14-day open comment period that will be, so this, as Connor mentioned at the beginning of this, the community meeting is being recorded, so that in the event that anyone, you guys want to rewatch, re-listen, or in the event that anyone else was not able to join due to prior commitments, the recording will be posted and reviewed by the Office of Planning and Zoning. And then community members have 14 days to submit any comments to the email address that I put in the chat. And then comments will be submitted to this email and also will be provided to us as the applicant. So this concludes our formal pre-submittal community meeting for the preliminary plan application for the Tommy's Car Wash at Mountain Road, or concludes our presentation piece. So if there are any additional questions or comments at this time, we're happy to discuss further with you guys.
And real quick, I'd like to add two things real quick just to make sure they're covered. One thing is, as Lauren mentioned, this is basically the first step of the development process here. So we haven't made any submissions to the county to date. Again, traffic is in the works. If you guys aren't familiar, you seem pretty savvy already with the general process overall. But if you aren't familiar, we'll go through a elongated review process through the county where it's multiple steps. You go through the preliminary development plan process, the site development plan process, and then get a grading permit, which all includes layers of review from multiple different departments and agencies. There will be a subsequent post-submission community meeting down the road after our initial site development plan. So think of it as step 2 of 3 for the approval process. There will be a follow-up community meeting at that point in time as well. And within that, there is potential for things to change from the layout perspective. Obviously, this is kind of, the the starting block here that we're going off on, but sometimes there's potential that the county might request, again, changes to the access points, right? If their review of the traffic is concerning on Temple Drive based on their county standards and the state standards for state highway, there's potential, and they will be reviewing that closely. Rest assured on that end. And then we actually have somebody else jumping in here. Let me admit him while he gets on. Welcome, Chris. We're taking questions in just a second. Can you add your information to the chat just for contact purposes? To continue that point, for the others, just again, note that this is basically the first step. The other piece is, at this time, there are no anticipated modifications or variances or anything like that. There's always the possibility that if the county requests something from a layout perspective that we can't fully accommodate without avoiding those, there's a chance that maybe a modification to impact the specimen tree further or something like that may be feasible, but we're doing everything we can to avoid that, and kind of make this as smooth as possible for everybody moving forward, and we understand your concerns.
Yeah, and as Connor mentioned at our follow-up community meeting for the site development plan piece, at that time, the traffic impact study will be completed and reviewed, so we will be able to provide some additional context at that time regarding the traffic study. But those intersections, as I previously noted, are currently being studied as we speak. So we do not have all of the results in hand at the moment. As like I mentioned before, this preliminary plan submission, the community meeting is required to occur prior to our submission so that we can look at this holistically prior to the submitting to the county.
And the intent of that truly is to get your guys' input and try and do what we can to accommodate it. So we appreciate all the questions, input, everything there. You live right there. You know it better than anybody else can.
A question for you. That where you said there's like the 50-foot forest line, is that going to be like woods that you guys, I guess, just don't touch? Or is it going to be something that you guys tear, rip all the trees out and then replant?
So that will actually be protected with signage,
Okay.
and that is something that should not be touched in perpetuity. And if it was ever to be touched, there's massive fines, and it would have to be actually something that, if there was ever to be development intended that would impact that, there's a whole process for that as well.
Okay.
So it should be a permanent screen for all effects,
Okay.
all intents and purposes.
And then I know it sounds crazy, but is there any way that the dumpster can go like adjacent to our properties? Because the reason why I'm asking is the people that are, I mean, obviously there's not going to be as much food trash, right? But the people that live right behind Starbucks, they didn't have them before, and I mean now they have rats. I mean, they're not mice, they're full grown like rats. And so, I mean, like, if we could move the dumpster to the other side of the adjacent property, that'd be awesome. Or just at least somewhere from the back of our properties.
So I guess the request is closer to the roads.
Yeah, I mean, just somewhere that's away from our houses. I mean, we don't want rats in our yard, Like they're disgusting. They'll burrow and make nests underneath of our porches and everything else. Like we just don't want anything to do with them.
Understood, and we'll take a look and see what we can do on that end with what the county might accept and what will work from an operations perspective. One thing I
Okay.
will note, though, if that isn't, and to be honest, we haven't looked at it at that degree yet, and we appreciate the question. If that isn't possible, I will just note that big difference between the trash at Starbucks and how much of a draw that is versus the car wash, certainly. So
For sure.
Yeah, the car wash does not anticipate selling food, so
Most
luckily
definitely.
that's less of an attraction. But we have in development in Anne Arundel County in the past have received comments to try to push it away from the site frontage, which is typically why we locate it in the back as shown. But like Connor said, that's something we can look at. But no guarantees there based on the past comments with the county as well.
Most definitely. I guess will those county, personnel, will they be like in any of our meetings that we have in the future? Or is that all just like private conversation with them?
So they'll possibly be attending a meeting in the future. It kind of just depends. You can always request your representatives to attend for your council or something like that. But they do actually get these meeting minutes from these meetings as well, and they're
Okay.
required to review them as part of this process and take your concerns into consideration. Doesn't mean they always can do something with them or always do, but they do actually look at these and kind of think about it from a holistic planning perspective.
Most definitely. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah.
Chris, I know you jumped in a little late. Did you have any questions or any thoughts? And just to fill you back in, this is being recorded, as you probably saw when you agreed to unmute or joined, but there will be meeting minutes with the transcript all provided at the end, along with these plans, and there will be a 14-day comment period as well. So that'll give you a chance to kind of catch up on everything you missed.
Yes, does anyone have any additional questions, comments, concerns, anything before
Just
we
another
conclude?
another question.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but what's the reasoning of a car wash out of all things? Like, what's the reasoning on a car wash when there's if like do like a Google search, like car wash, drop it on this address pin near me. I mean, there's four with like within 4 miles. There's one not even 0.5 miles away. Like,
Yeah, this will
what's
be
the
the fifth
reason?
one.
Jill, if you're still there, we'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, I can kind of chime into that. So, I belong to a group called Olympus Pines, and the partners here, kind of got into car washes specifically because it was a, type of retail that allowed us to pay. So half of the partners are vets. One was a Navy fighter pilot and fought in Afghanistan. We have an ex-Marine, and so they found a big draw to be able to give a good paying retail job to vets, as well as people that are in the retail space have the ability to come join our car wash. And we pay full benefits. We do tuition assistance. We offer some stock options depending on if you decide to stay with us, and so those kind of things. And the car wash space really allows us to make those accommodations for them.
Okay, reasonable enough.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, no problem. Just I was curious, like just it doesn't that didn't make any sense to me. As me owning my own business as well, like wouldn't pop up a snowball shop if there's one right next door. Like there's so it just makes you
Yeah,
wonder.
yeah, we are really lucky to be part of Tommy's Express. Tommy's Express is actually a franchise, and we're a franchisee. We have 30 washes right now across the country. And we have one of the partners actually lives in your area. And so he feels very strongly about making sure that he has a good presence in his area. And we also we pride ourselves on doing it better, right? So I'm sure everybody says that, but please come visit us and we'll give you a free wash once we open.
Just remind you guys about the a 14-day open comment period and the email in the chat that Lauren dropped there. And if you have any additional questions, comments, feel free to pass those along to the county through that email. They will be passed along to us as well. Lauren, anything else?
I believe that is it on our end.
A quick question.
guess-
How can we look at the video to this? Like, is there any way for the neighbors to check in? I can't remember how you said to do that. Chris Billing just texted me and said that he couldn't unmute. So I've just wanted to kind of fill him in. He's an older guy, so
Yeah, no worries. So we will be submitting the the recording, like Connor mentioned, is recorded. So we will be submitting the recording to the county and then they will be posting it on their website.
Okay.
And if you have any difficulty finding that, I can drop my email in the chat as well. And then you're more than welcome to reach out to me and then I can always assist with getting you a link if you have any difficulty finding
Okay.
that.
Perfect. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know sometimes weeknights are tricky. The county actually requires us to do it a Monday through Thursday. Because I think they know that weekends are typically more busy and they require during a certain period of time so that those who are working during the day are able to try to attend. But obviously hard to get everyone on board. So which is why they like for it to be recorded and then posted and then they provide that 14-day comment period.
Definitely. Well, I
So I
appreciate it.
just posted, yeah, of course, I just posted my email in the chat, so feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions as well. But like I said, any other questions can go directly to the county and then whatever is submitted to the county, we also get as well so that we can incorporate it into our submission.
Already awesome.
Of course. Well, I guess if that is it for questions and comments, that will conclude our first of 2 community meetings for the site. Like I said, just reach out if you have anything else.
And thank you
Thank
for
you
your
guys very much.
questions.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you, you as well.
well.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.